So first question, what's your name and what do you currently work on?
So I'm Jed Watson, and I work on a range of things. I help run a development company in Sydney. We build products and solutions for small and large clients, but we also invest heavily in R&D and open source, particularly around JavaScript. So we have three main products actually that we are open source. We call them our tech stack. There's Touchstonejs, which is a mobile application framework for hybrid mobile apps powered by React. There's Elemental UI, which is a web app oriented UI component library for React. And then there's Touchstonejs, which is actually our longest running project, and that is one of the main content management platforms for Node.js. It sits on top of Express and Mongoose. So it's the open source stuff I feel like I really work on, but we then use that to deliver commercial projects for our clients at ThinkMill as well. So that's what I do.
How long have you been working with React?
So I was probably first introduced to React about a year and a half ago, but I think I've really been working with it in real projects and in production for a bit over a year. And my first real project was actually Touchstonejs. We wanted to take the admin UI that it generates and turn that into a much richer experience. And we'd been sort of sitting back and looking for the right framework to use for that. We evaluated web components and whether Polymer could solve the problems the way we wanted to. Angular, of course, and Ember were up there. Ghost famously moved to Ember. And I sort of got frustrated with the state of web components at the time and started looking again at React and realized that it solved all of the problems that I had with the other framework and gave me a way to solve all the problems that I had with our sort of pre-existing, server-generated UI and jQuery UI system that we had in place. So that's been a very long process to migrate this app. And Ryan gave a great talk yesterday on Brownfield's React and the way you can sort of migrate an application from the inside out. And we've actually been taking that approach with quite a large open source project. So it's been really interesting. But I guess the first commercial use of it was just a couple of months after as well. It's kind of, once you start, it's hard to stop. It's a very addictive framework, the way it lets you solve problems. So yeah, that's.
All right. In terms of a question I've asked a lot of people is in learning React, it often teaches people or gives people insights into software development and how to solve software development challenges. What's the biggest insight you've gotten about software development since starting to work with React?
It's a really good question, but I think so. I've been doing web development for a bit over 10 years. First implementation of JavaScript was in IE6 and submitting forms to hidden iframes to get Ajax to work and generating JavaScript to talk via a frame set back to the menu. Like we used to do some crazy things, and you always knew that it wasn't the right way, but you knew that you could get things done, and that was exciting. I think that the thing that React has given me is a lot of confidence. It feels like the right abstraction. It feels like the right implementation process for a user interface. And I think that's caused me to think about the way we create user interfaces differently. It's also got a story for components that works today. It's not like going back sort of, I guess, a year ago when I adopted it, web components was still something that you could only theoretically use. It was almost unusable in production, whereas React has been relevant from day one. Huge amount of respect for the way Facebook have approached the open sourcing and the support and the community building that they've done around it. So I guess like those areas of how to structure applications, how to view things, and how to work with the parts of the language that do work really well and the direction the language is going in to create a strong framework, to create a really strong community has been something that I've definitely taken away from React since getting into it.
Final question. What do you see in the future of JavaScript and React in the next couple of years?
Well, after the last day and a half of conference talks, it's probably a different answer, particularly Sebastian's talk yesterday. I think that JavaScript is doing really well as the language of the internet. I think even a few years ago, it was pretty easy to dismiss it, and now people have taken it very seriously and applied it to things that I don't think anyone thought it would be applied to. We've got, drones, we've got hardware, we've got software, we've got web apps, we've got mobile apps, all running with JavaScript. And I think what we'll see is as we continue to have specialized languages, and in some ways, I guess some people would say technically better languages exist in a way that's solves specific problems well. I think we're going to continue to see JavaScript being applied to places that it is sort of unexpected, as well as the places it is expected. And I think that we're going to continue to see people working to make sure that when that happens, it actually works well. We get better performance, we get better tooling, we get better developer experience. And I think that's just going to continue over the next few years. I can't see anything interrupting that current trajectory for JavaScript. For React more specifically, I think that the work that the React team are doing around targeting different rendering environments, first with React Native, and then potentially there's been talk of any number of different things. We might see desktop, we might see, it's really crazy, but we might see GPU rendering, all these sorts of things. That's very exciting. And I think that that's not just inside Facebook, but going back to January, Netflix gave a great talk as well about how they'd done a similar thing. So I think we'll continue to see the concept of React as a way of building applications, as a way of building the user interface of applications, continue to be applied to a whole lot of different ranges. But I also think there's a lot of really good work to be done around the community of reusable components. It's a very young ecosystem, so there's a lot of opportunity for innovation, and there's a really healthy attitude from the core team and the other sort of prominent members in the community around healthy collaboration and healthy competition between different ideas, and everyone's kind of getting in and helping each other. So I see that accelerating. And I think that it's a really exciting time to be part of the community. I can't wait to see where it actually does go from here. So, thanks.
All right, great. Thanks a lot.